Hello, and welcome to the College Board Services for Students with Disabilities, or SSD, Accommodations Support Training video. The goal of this training is to provide current SSD coordinators, which are typically campus testing coordinators and special ed campus coordinators, the tools for the transition from paper testing to digital testing. We'll also cover types of supports offered by College Board, and requesting accommodations through the SSD online website. To complete the goal, we have divided the training into 4 parts. We will spend most of our time talking about the types of supports, but here is our agenda. Accommodations and the SSD coordinator overview, dates and changes due to the digital testing, types of supports and accommodations, and requesting supports. We'll start off with the SSD overview. SSD stands for Services for Students with Disabilities. College Board requires that each school has at least one person acting as the SSD coordinator. The primary coordinator is usually the 504 testing coordinator. There can be more than one SSD coordinator on a campus, and College Board suggests that we do so. We can have others such as the SE Campus Coordinator, as well as the 504 Testing Coordinator, but only one can serve as the SSD Primary Coordinator. There's a form here that you can click on to become an SSD Coordinator if you are not already an SSD Coordinator. There are roles and responsibilities that all SSD coordinators share. The first one is to make sure that you have a College Board professional account in order to access the SSD online system. Your responsibility also is to request accommodations for your students with disabilities through that SSD online platform, to know how to access student information such as information in eSchool or in Frontline, including disability and current accommodations that are being used at the school, and act as the school's liaison with the SSD office and communicate with them about accommodations. In addition, primary SSD coordinator have extra roles and responsibilities. Those are to ensure that students are tested with the appropriate accommodations, including reviewing and updating accommodations as needed or as required, and working with testing coordinators to ensure that the correct accommodations are in place each time the student takes a College Board test. Also, primary SSD coordinators have the responsibility to print and monitor the Non-Standard Administration Report, or NAR, from the SSD online. Primary SSD coordinators also have the responsibility for administering the test, training the staff as needed, receiving and safely and securely storing test materials if you have students that are approved for paper, and properly returning materials if you have students that are approved for paper. Non-Standard Administration Reports, or NARs, are rosters showing all students SSD approved accommodations for school-based testing. For embedded accommodations, the primary SSD coordinator will need to check accommodations are listed by the student in the Test Aid Toolkit, a web application that coordinators and proctors will use to administer exams.